So, today I'm just gonna, go over my Flame Glam deck that I've been playing and just kind of yap on about the deck. The ride deck is very simple. We're just running the starter. You have to run this starter to activate Rugia's skill to be able to, re-ride. We're playing the starter, and we're playing Joanna. All you need to know is that, like, when she's rode on by the grade 2, you're able to call her and the grade 0 from Soul. And at the end of the turn, you're able to put them back. And Verite skill is when Rugia rides upon her. You can draw 2 cards and put a card from your hand to bomb deck. It's a very strong skill just to be able to, like, draw the pieces that you want and put triggers back into deck. And Rugia's skill, she's basically able to you're able to Soul Blast 1, and you're able to search your deck or drop for a Flame Glam. You're able to put it into a grade 2 or less and call it to your reroll circle. And if you call it from deck, you shuffle your deck. Then her Counterblast skill is at the end of battle when she attacks. Do you have to attack a Vanguard? No. When it attacks, so you can attack a rearguard too. You Counterblast when you choose up to 3 units with Flame Glam in their names. If they all have different names, you're able to ride the starter from Soul on top of her. And the starter gets 2k for each card of you and your opponent's damage. So, and then at the end of the turn, you're able to ride Rugia from your Soul or drop. So, that's pretty much like the entire ride line. I wouldn't really try to change it just because I think this is a solid line. You don't do anything on turn 1, but your turn 2 can be very explosive with the right cards, which I'm going to go over the other cards in the deck too. I forgot to mention Joanna and Verite skill. So when the starter's on the Vanguard circle, Joanna is able to retire herself at the end of battle to countercharge 1, and Verite is able to retire itself with Soul Blast 1 to retire one of your opponent's rear guards. So, this pinpoint retire, this is just free counter charge. So, if you don't use any extra counterblast, this is essentially free with Joanna in the front row. All you do is just put her in drop, but other cards in the deck puts Flame Glams from drop to bomb deck. So, yeah, that's basically the entire ride line. Now I'm going to go over the other cards in the deck. So we'll start with grade 0 since it's pretty easy. I'm running 2 of the starter. This gets cut down later on in the future. Just because we have more cards that are able to search for Flame Glams in the deck. And you don't really need that many. I think 2 or 1 is a sweet spot, but recently I've even upped my one copy of her to 2 just because I need more Flame Glams to the deck, and have her as a booster and against non-retire matchups or matchups where, your opponent could target your board. I think it's pretty good just to have in the back row. So all you need is just to use Rugia's skill to search something in your deck. So that's why I'm playing 2 with the starter. For vanilla heals, it doesn't matter. You can play the effect ones. I just play just the normal ones just because I have more shield. Then I'm playing 3 of the effect front. So this could be draws as well, but I find this deck can draw a lot of cards, which I'll get to in the grade 1s. So you don't really need that many draw triggers. Besides, I like the front because it's 20k shield. And the front is also very strong when you check in on your Rugia turn or your Brukia. So it allows your other Flame Glams to hit harder. And I'm just running 8 crits. It doesn't matter what crits that you run. You can run the into Soul one if you want more Soul, but I'll explain why later on. Soul is not really that much of an issue unless you don't Persona Ride, but I'll explain later on in the deck profile. And for the Overtrigger, I'm testing this. I'm playing the yellow one because you get 3 drive checks in the deck, and if you're able to hit hit it on your any of the dry checks early game or even later, you're able to essentially just retire your opponent's board for the not best crit. I don't have any copies of it. All I have is one copy. Plus it's in my Herminia deck. So I just got random crits from my Chris Rain deck. I just put it in here. So I'm testing this right now. This could be a lyrical overtrigger if you want. I think it's what you would prefer because your rears don't hit numbers without Lucrece in the deck, which is in the grade ones. Which I'll go to the grade ones right now. So for the grade ones, playing 3 main deck Juana. You kind of want to play Juana in the main deck. It's a Flame Gleam unit, and you want to get that counter charge, and it's necessary. Probably my favorite one out of the bunch, just because it's just free counter charge. It's just an 8K, but still, I think it's pretty important. Next, the MVP of the deck and why the deck actually can work the way it does is Dive to Blue Lucrece. So she has the ability is when your Vanguard will Flame Gun and the card name attacks, you're able to counterbox one to put a Flame Gun from your drop to bomb deck. And you the player get the effect. It's to the end of turn, all your Flame Gleam named cards get 5k power. This draws you cards. This gives your Flame Guns power, so now you're able to hit over certain thresholds, especially on Persona Ride turns, and it makes your early game insane. Like I said, Juana calls herself and Lucrece from the soul, and you're able to just, you know, build a board on turn 2. And with this, you're able to push your opponent for higher damage, which is just really, really strong. Some decks can't even take that much pressure. You can push them to high damage because of that. So this is probably the most important card of the deck. I wish that we had another card that gave power to your Flame Flame units, but it's the only card I can do that for right now. For such a cost of just Counterblast 1. And Counterblast is not an issue because Juana exists. Lastly, for the Grand Ones, we're just running 4 Perfect Guards. And I'm playing one of the new Elemental Sanctitude. So, I don't think it really matters between which Sanctitude you're using. It's between this or the other one. It just depends on your locals. Sometimes, you know, I personally fight against decks that have a crest that isn't just an energy generator. So that's why I'm playing this. And it does help at moments. Sometimes you're not going to get a grade 4 deck, so that's why I'm just running this instead. Especially they're more likely to print crests in the future. The grade 1s are done. Now onto the grade 2s. Playing 3 of the main deck Verde. This card is really, really good because of Rugia's skill. That you can actually Soul Blast out the Rugia in your soul. Is she becomes free, essentially. Unless you don't Persona Ride, this is where soul becomes an issue. But you don't need that much soul in the deck. Rugia herself, yes, she costs a hard soul to call a card from your deck. But Verte is essentially free if you just Soul Blast out Rugia for her cost. Because you're able to ride her from drop as well. So it's just free. And like I said, you could draw a bunch of cards because of Lucrece. And you're essentially getting 3 drive checks that doesn't neg you, other than all your Rigor circles. So that's why I think it's fine for you to just, you know, use this every turn to keep Soul Blasting. Unless you don't have a Persona Ride, then obviously don't Soul Blast. So of course we're playing main deck Verde because you need to. We're playing 4 of I don't know how to say her name, but she came from set 2. Basically, when she's placed on Rigor Circle, you're able to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up the one Flame Glam from among them, you can add it to your hand, and put the rest at the bottom of your deck. Then she gets boosted with a Flame Glam Vanguard. This card is iffy. Like, if we get another card that's better than her, I would definitely play it. But she's our only, like not a true +1, but it's like a +1. Without you having to commit a lot of stuff. You just place it, look at top 3. But the issue with her is that you could just whiff. But she can grab Rogia. which is very strong, obviously, to get Persona rides. And sometimes you see like 3 triggers. You're like, dang. I guess I gotta put a bomb deck and shuffle the deck with Rugia. So, I love and hate this card. Sometimes I just gotcha and get the grade 3 anyway, or Flame Glam I need. Next, I'm playing 3 Person. She has a simple effect is when she's placed on Guardian Circle, you're able to put a Flying Gland from your drop zone to bomb deck, and she can sink a shield. This card is actually surprisingly very good in the deck. Not just because it's just free shield. Actually no, that's probably the reason why. It's just basically free shield. And you're able to just cycle back your Flying Glams to the bomb deck, and you can search them back out if you need to. Also can prevent you deck out as well if you're like drawing a bunch of cards, because this deck can surprisingly deck out if you don't put any Flame Glands back. You just keep drawing cards. This plus like all the drawing the deck can do, it can make the deck surprisingly tanky. Like, I made some posts on Twitter that I've guarded like 78k lanes and stuff like that, even Zorga lanes, and that's because of Person existing. If she didn't exist, I don't think this deck would be pseudo tanky at all. And me drawing a bunch of triggers and stuff, that just naturally happens in the deck, or me drive checking it. So I don't think I will personally remove this card until we get like something better, or something that's like really game changing for the deck. I think this is a good card just to have as extra shield. Next, this is where the deck is not $5 anymore. Prekia. Well, it already wasn't 5 by Elementaria, but it's fine. So I'll play Prekia. Her effects really quick. When she's discarded from hand or placed on Guardian Circle, you counterbalance 1 Energy Blast 3, and you can draw a card. Then, when this unit's placed on Rigor Circle of your Persona row this turn, you're able to counterbalance 1 Energy Blast 3, choose one of your rear guards, and it gets 5k power. You're able to bounce it back to your hand at the end of the turn. So, I think Prekia is really good in the deck. I'm only running 3 because I added another starter. I might switch it so I can have 4 of her, because I really want to like keep my cards in my hand to be able to draw more cards. But this is something that I'm personally trying out. She's mainly here just to be a discard target. You rarely call her on Persona Ride turns, just because you have other cards that you can use on your board to gain more power than just using Prekia. And against retire matchups, I guess it's fine, or matchups where they pinpoint Eula Crease or other cards. She's more valuable in hand for guarding rather than you calling on Persona Ride turns, but it's fine. I think I might play 4, but for right now I've been trying 3. Last for the grade 2s, I'm running 4 Franchette. The first part of her auto doesn't matter. Her second part is where it's mostly used. So when she attacks, you choose 3 or more of your units, and if 3 of them have different card names, she gets 5k power to end a turn. Then if you chose 4, they have different card names. You can choose one of your rearguards and return it to hand. Other rearguards, so you can't return her back to hand. So honestly enough, I would probably take out Franchette to add another Prekia. Franchette is good in the early game and decent in the mid game, in my opinion. But like in the late game, I don't think her value is that high. Like at most, for what I've been doing, before I, actually read my card with Rugia, I would like call Verte, not from the ride deck obviously, but just use Verte and just bounce her back, because I thought you had to, keep Rugia in Soul. But now I've shifted to just using this grade 2 and just bounce it back to hand, to try to dig for more Persona rides, because you can like pseudo loop Persona rides, but it's not consistent. Other than that, her value isn't that high compared to like you probably having another card. Her in the early game is really good because you make a free 23k lane, which is really good, without Lucrece, by the way. And if you caught something like a PG, you can always just bounce it back. Also, she's a pseudo target because a lot of people don't want you bouncing stuff at all. So they will most likely target Franchette before your other cards first. But honestly, I'm torn between playing 4 and 3. Just because she's really good in the early game, but she diminishes her value later on. I don't know, that could just be me or some of the other cards I've just been trying to test with it. But Franchette, I wouldn't say is needed. Prekia at the moment, I think she's very much needed. But I don't think if you can't get Franchette, I don't think this deck is like not any better. It makes your early game really good. But later on, I think it diminishes in value. That's all for the grade 2s. And in grade 3s, it's pretty simple. I was playing 3 more Rugia to Persona Ride. And I'm playing Calburn from the new set for Festival to essentially allow me to draw 2 or put this card in the sort of counter charge. Now, surprisingly enough, both effects can come up in this deck. If you have like a Lucrece and you want to use like, you know, 2 Lucrece on your board plus you know, obviously Rugia herself, you need 3 open CV obviously. If you only have 2, this could provide you extra CC. And of course Joanna allows you to counter charge, so it'll be like a 2 CB turn for a 3 CB cost. Just because you use Calburn, you want to dig for specific cards, obviously like Lucrece. So you can use this effect to just draw 2. And the soul is nice as well, because if you don't Persona Ride, you can still use Verte in order to, you know, in order to retire.